Pleasure.
Now we will move to Tonny, our Tonny, as he's in charge of the technical department of Folkecenter, basically. Has a long experience both in small and large wind. And yeah, he will update us a little bit on the Danish situation in a moment. We're almost there. Can you see the slides?
Yes, we can see.
Good, perfect.
I can see it here. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And yeah, first slide then. Thank you, and I think I'll spare you all for telling a lot about Folkecenter because Daniel gave a presentation on Folkecenter earlier on. So next slide, Daniel. But I could say where we're located. We're located today at the lowest of the two green dots, and the highest of the green dots is our new test site in Hundborg, and all the red markings are our national test sites for big wind, big offshore wind. So we are big offshore wind tested onshore, but we are in the middle of our two national test sites. So we are in a very good windy regime. And here you can see all the collaborators. I should have included the Southern University in Denmark also, because we are in contact with all our four national universities and all their sub-departments, where the students are using data from our test sites, varying from small wind turbine data, production data, to just wind data, calculating how fast the wind speed is traveling between the two met towers and things like that. So next slide, Daniel. And then a short recap on our Danish legislation on small wind, where of course we are looking towards the IEC 61400-2 standard, which is the international standard for designing small wind up to 200 square meter rotor size. And then we still have this special Danish rules for turbines below 40 square meters, but it has been limited only to prototypes now. And we still believe it's a pity that it's been limited, but hopefully we could have there's an update of the legislation on its way. There's a technical committee working on an update, so hopefully we could maybe re-enter it or expand the limit for 200 square meters. We're trying to improve all kinds of legislation in Denmark. But as you all know, probably know that the 200 square meter rotor size wind turbines of the 80s used to have a 50 or 60 kilowatt generator. So we have a little special rule in Denmark with only allowed to use a 25 kilowatt generator size on a small wind turbine. So our small wind turbines we call household wind turbines due to these facts. And at the same time, they're only allowed to be 25 meter in total height, whereas these old wind turbines of that size were 25 meters at hub height. And we are also seriously working on this criteria because it actually causes a lot of damages to household wind turbines being in the surroundings of houses and trees, especially when you see the criteria mentioned under point 6 that they're only allowed to be 20 to 25 meters away from buildings, which means that they are in a very, very turbulent environment. So causing a lot of yaw failures or failures in general for being in such a turbulent environment. What else can we say about our rules? Yeah, they're still for only self-consumption, but are very, very popular at the moment. There's a lot of people looking into small wind because of their high energy prices, but I'll come back to that. Our legislation on the conformity side is still leading towards the -22 standard, but during this latest revision, it'll probably be changed to the IEC IEC Renewable Energy Standard for Operational Document 554. That'll probably be included in the next revision as well. we're still looking into the criteria of the operational document 501, which is actually a big wind criteria set into this small wind setup. So hopefully it is not limiting us, but we'll work on it for sure to make it easier to put up small wind. That's our main goal. Next slide, please. Then you can see what is the market then for small wind in Denmark. Yeah, 2022 is still we're still hoping to get some market shares for 22. Actually, I know this one turbine here mentioned in 22 is Viking Wind. Ulrik is present here today, so it actually was put up in 20. So the numbers for 5 and 20 fits, but why one have been moved up? They probably came in late with the grid scheme to the utility, so that's why it has been registered for 22. So no turbine so far has been connected to the grid in 22. At least that's the registrar is saying. The branch organization is still working on a white book to tell stories about all the crazy stop policies for for instance the 20-meter rule to buildings and things like that. And I think the branch organization have been quite successful in getting some of these cases into the press. Energy cooperatives is still not allowed in Denmark. There's people working on that families could share a 25 kilowatt machine or 10 kilowatt machine if you have a 4,000 kilowatt hour consumption on electricity when you don't have heat pumps for heating, then they have to share a 10 kilowatt in order to make an economy behind the meter. But still too many obstacles. So hopefully it will improve. Next slide, Daniel. Then energy prices in Denmark. I took both in Danish kroner and in euro, so you can really see why there's a lot of interest in having a small wind turbine operating behind the meter or taking care of your self-consumption, because we moved within a year, we tenfolded our energy prices. So you can see in late 20 and 21, we were around 300 kroner, which is 33 euro per megawatt, and now we are on 500 euro per megawatt for the spot market price. And on the left you can see the yearly change, and 22 is going to be terrible. End consumers are looking into prices in the cooking periods on 1.35 euro per kilowatt hour. So 10 Danish kroner per kilowatt hour is our current prices in the boiling peaks. So consumers are really paying. In average, the end consumer is paying 5.75 in average for all of August, and you can see the spot price is roughly 3.4, and these prices for the end consumer, you should add roughly 2,000 Danish kroner per megawatt on taxes. We have an energy tax, and then we have tax on the energy tax, and then we have tax on the energy itself. So we have to have a tax on the tax. So next slide, Daniel. Here you can again see in a graph, see the prices, how they look at how dramatical it is. Actually, we have for decades we have had lower energy costs in the west of Denmark, where we have most of our wind turbines, compared to south of east of Denmark. But this year it has been altered due to that the biggest of our island have gotten a huge offshore park, which and we have had a lot of wind coming from the east. Next slide. Then a small graph showing the division in energy price, how it's divided between net actual energy price and the operator cost and the tax. and the joint price. You'll get the slides afterwards, so then you can go more in detail. Here it looks like that the tax is not all that big, but this is also only up to February and April 22. It's just before Ukraine, so you can imagine when we go up to 10 to 1,000 euro on the graph on the left, and you pay 25% in VAT on top of your energy tax and your energy price, then this tax bump is extremely high, and the consumers are pressing the government to lower the VAT on electricity. And the government's answer to that is that they are thinking about lowering the energy tax, because that's easier for them to control, because it's a fixed amount where you have tax on top of it. But the end consumers are trying to put pressure on the government to lower the actual VAT on electricity instead. So let's see where it ends. Still, the European Union, within the European Union, there's been worked a lot on the maximum price for renewable energy in general. So we still don't know where it'll end. Next slide. Back to Danish wind turbines and the Danish market. In order to be in the Danish market, you have to be approved to get grid connect, or you have to operate making heat or any kind. If you have a turbine that has a 61400-2 approval, then of course you are allowed to erect, but you are not allowed to grid connect. So you need to use all your energy produced in heat in one way or another, or charge batteries. And it is mainly only Danish manufacturers, old Danish manufacturers who are on this list. Next slide. Then I tried to look into the prices on Danish wind turbines, because I know that for people who want to go into the Danish market, they are very keen on how much can you get for, what is the prices for wind turbines in Denmark. And here's a short overview of the estimated production on. If you take the Viking wind first, Viking is actually approved in both 10 and 25 kilowatt versions. So it's a very variable speed turbine, so it's just a configuration more or less that decides what model it is. So it's more or less the same price whether it's 10 or 25. There's not much difference. Only in the 10 kilowatt is not all that attractive, because that was only attractive in the period where we had a high feed-in tariff for wind turbines up to 10 kilowatt. So they are only selling at 25 right now, I would expect. And there you can see their production, yearly production, depending on the location, of course. Then we have a two turbine, where the first one is the 6 kilowatt and the second one is the 10 kilowatt, both 40 square meter rotor size. And yeah, Ulrik is a 133 square meter rotor size, the Viking wind. And you can see the yearly production on these two turbines in average. So, and then we have Rise Energy. Among Danish people, it's a Gaia turbine, and originally old Danish turbine, so very well-known turbine in Denmark. And the first one is actually Rise Rise is distributor in Denmark. It's also selling a turbine called Brink, the 5 kilowatt on 23 square meters. That's the cost price for Brink and the average yearly production. And the other one, the next one, is the Gaia 11 kilowatt. Then we have solid wind power. It's a 25 kilowatt machine. Yeah, actually on the approval list, it's only the 10 kilowatt that's approved. So, but I know they're selling it for 25. But how they get around that, I don't know yet. If it's single approval, they go through. I don't know if Søren is on board. Then we could ask him if he's part of the audience. But they're only selling the 200 square meter rotor size rotor at the moment. So up to 120 kilowatt is on a very good position here in our windiest region with a 200 square meter rotor size. Then we tried to capture some prices and production figures for the last Danish player, which is KVA. It's a 15 kilowatt pitch regulated wind turbines on 86 square meters rotor size. We haven't been able to get hold of his official sales price and official production figures, so we'll just mention that it's here. And then we have I put a mark on service cost. We still have the rule in Denmark that turbines below 40 square meter rotor size are allowed to do the maintenance by the owner. So they only have to keep a logbook, whereas the other ones need to have a 1 yearly service. Next slide, please. I just included this old slide here because the phone is ringing here at Folkecenter every day for people who want to know about small wind, because they have contacted our Danish household wind turbine manufacturers and been introduced to the prices you've seen before. And then they all think they can find a micro wind turbine that will work for them in the setup of 25,000 Danish kroner as a maximum 5,000 euro range. And we'll try to explain them that yeah, you can go and buy an electric car at the toy shop, but if you go and you want a real electric car, then it's a totally different price. Then they see the challenges. But so if you have and you can see that the Danish wind turbine range starts at 6 kilowatt, and TY is actually only selling the 10 kilowatt. They have the same issue as who, like there's no reason to buy a 6 kilowatt, but that small price difference, so people are buying a 10 kilowatt. But there's nothing in the range of these micro wind turbines and up to 10 kilowatt. And but there's a lot of customers requesting a 2 or 3 kilowatt wind turbine. So there's a huge market if you can make a robust and approved 2 to 3 kilowatt turbine and sell it at an attractive price. Next slide, please. Yeah, I just brought this slide. If we have an audience that are not wind people, then they have to have this in mind, how much energy there is actually to harvest from a wind turbine, so that people are not overselling these figures after 1 square meter. So next slide, please. And again, a grid connected island. If you have grid, forget about a wind turbine. Use the grid in these small. Then next week we'll go to Hamburg. We were represented in Husum last year. Unfortunately, we don't have a booth in Hamburg this year. We only go there to meet the branch and meet the manufacturers. We'll go as test site and also to represent the small wind business in general. Next slide, please. Test site today. Yes, we would have hoped that this interest also would make interest to a lot of foreign manufacturers who would like to come into the Danish market and go through an approval process. Next slide. We have a single German manufacturer still operating, trying to get into the market. Next slide. And Hundborg. I think this university setup, we've been quite successful with making a scale-up models for university, but I think we're in a period where we are between funding, so that this funding that the universities are working with right now is at a design stage, where we just had them at the test stage. So it always takes 2 to 3 years into a finance program before they have anything they want to test. So I think we're at a design phase. That's why we don't see them at the test site right now. But hopefully they'll return, because it's still a lot cheaper to operate in small wind with concept studies. Next slide. Autonomous wind. Yeah, we just renewed our batteries. We still not have fully operational. We are lacking man hours here at Folkecenter. Too many targets. Next slide. And our business model and approach is still unchanged. You can start by renting a foundation for €1,000 a month, and then you take it from there. How much support you need? Whether you just rent the foundation and then do all the work yourself, or you want us to help on hourly basis, or you want a fixed price, go into a bargain for a fixed price, we'll be glad to help you. Then we're still involved in standardization work, especially in Task 41 with the International Energy Agency. Yes, and then my contact information, if you haven't lost them, yeah, then you're always welcome if you're in the neighborhood, no matter, yeah.
I have a question. What do you think after this energy crisis we have in Denmark? Can Denmark government change the rules for this 25 kilo wind turbine, small wind turbine, and all this regulation? You think to be changed?
Yeah, it's a big question. I think the biggest question for the private investors is actually how long time will the prices stay high? One thing is we come from very, very low prices on wind energy in Denmark into a high price period right now. But what happens after the war in Ukraine? How fast will the price go down, or what is driving the prices? So for sure, they won't.
Nobody expect to be down. I don't think.
No. So
we have to do something.
yes, for sure. And we are also probably not coming down to the prices we've seen earlier. It's in general will stay a little higher.
Not anymore.
No. So
not before 5-6 years, everything increasing.
And actually, sun is coming in now. So no, but
you think to be feeding tariff system again, coming again? Think so? No.
And I'm also doubting that it have helped small wind. These high energy prices for sure help small wind.
I do have some comments. This is Morten Petersen from the Danish Association of Small Wind. Is it possible to come in now?
Yes, you're more than welcome, Morten.
Thank you. Just to have the most updated data, anyhow, from one of our members, we have already this year erected 2 wind turbines, and 10 are in process right now. So that means that the market is going on, and right now there is a very, very big interest for small wind turbines. That is in the whole range. That's for 5 kilowatt, that's for 10, 11 kilowatts, and that's for 25 kilowatt. Due to the very high electricity prices, there's a lot of people who are having heat pumps. They know that heat pumps goes very good together with small wind turbines, and therefore we really see that the interest is very big, and it's not only the interest, they are buying right now. Just for your information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morten. Any questions more? Then thanks, Tonny. And we'll go to the last speaker for today.